Before I talk about the Holy Trinity, I need to talk to you about Catholic Charities. You remember a year ago, February, when we had some terrific snowstorms, and it was so bad that many people couldn't even get to Mass on Sunday. And it happened to be the annual Catholic Charities appeal. So what they decided was that when May came last year, they would do the appeal again because they'd only received about half as much as they did the year before. And it was so successful. In fact, 4,900 people pledged more than $560,000 during the second appeal. And so the diocese has decided to try it again this year. So if anybody did not have an opportunity to make a pledge for Catholic Charities, or if you would like to increase your gift, we can do so today. The theme of Catholic Charities this year is, let your love of Jesus help power our mission. The power and strength behind the Holy Trinity is love. And whenever we love God or love others who are in need, we're certainly living the life of the Trinity. And so today we're asked to consider the two emphases they have is the Rosemary Home, as you know, has been in existence for a long time, but it's in need of expansion, and it is a facility that's done tremendous good for disabled children, and they would like to expand that work throughout the diocese. And secondly, there's an opportunity, someone very generous has pledged to match $100,000. So he's challenging that if we can, he will match every dollar up to $100,000 by a generous donor when we return our envelope. So it's another incentive to raise funds for the diocese. So if you just take a moment, if you've already made your pledge, you don't need to do anything. But if you have not and you'd like to make the pledge, there's envelopes in the ends of the pews. So if anyone needs one, would you pass it down to them now? And there's also some pencils there in case anybody needs to fill out one of the forms. And then it's kind of self-explanatory. If you just put on the inside, there's a flap for your name, your address, and phone number. If you've already given to the annual appeal, you can check that box. If you're not able to give, you can check that box. And then over on the right side, there are different levels of giving. You can make a decision on what you'd like to donate. Then you just write the amount you pledged, and if you'd like to put some in the envelope or give a credit card number, you can do that. And then just tear that off and put it in the envelope and seal it and put it in the collection basket this morning. Please don't put the pencil back in the envelope either. We need those to stay out. Okay. Well, thanks for listening and thanks for your great generosity. Catholic Charities in the Diocese of Cleveland does outstanding work for the church. And so we're grateful for everybody that donates. There was a missionary in a foreign land, and he decided to take a vacation back home. And while he was on that vacation, he came across a sundial that was for sale. And he thought that would be a good thing to take back to his village in the missions so that he could teach his people how to tell time. So he brought the sundial back and he put it in the center of the village in a prominent place. And the people were just astounded by it. They'd never seen anything like this, and they thought it was magnificent. Well, a couple days later, the missionary was very surprised when he came out to the village and the natives had built a roof to put over the top of the sundial to protect it from the sun. They didn't understand it. They thought it was great, but they didn't understand it. Sometimes we can be like that with a doctrine like the Trinity, that we say it's beautiful and magnificent, but how does it practically relate to me? And maybe that's the challenge of this feast day in preaching, it always is Because the Trinity, we cannot understand it. It's a great mystery. And we would not know about the Trinity of persons being a family of God, Father, Son, and Spirit, unless Jesus revealed it to us, and he did. And so we take it on the word of Jesus that this is the reality about God. Every prayer that we offer, we always begin with the sign of the cross, don't we? In the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Because we acknowledge that the second person of the Trinity became man and died on the cross for us and for our salvation. When we come into the church, we bless ourselves with holy water that is mindful of our baptism when we became a member of the church in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Our funeral liturgies are so beautiful and comforting when someone dies. At the beginning, we bring the casket by the baptismal font, and we sprinkle it with holy water, calling to mind the day of their baptism, when they died with Christ and rose to new life. And Jesus says, whoever follows me faithfully through baptism, I will raise to eternal and everlasting happiness. And so it has great impact upon us that we celebrate all the sacraments in the name of the Trinity. Theologians have tried to explain it in practical ways. St. Patrick, the famous one, where he had used a three-leaf clover to symbolize the Trinity, one stem but three leaves. Sometimes people have used the H2O, the symbol for water, because water is distinctly either ice or steam or liquid, and yet they're distinct. St. John, or St. Ignatius of Loyola, I think, compared it to a musical chord, where he's saying that one sound is made, and when it's played, it becomes a chord, a sound of music. And so there's symbols that we can use to try to understand, but they all limp a little. But what is it practically that we can do to make the Trinity real in our own lives? I'd suggest one thing, that like take 3 minutes before you go to bed at night, and in the first minute, if you look over the past day and remember something really good that happened, something really nice, phone call from a friend you hadn't heard from in a long time, or a gift came in the mail, something good that happened to you during the day, and thank God the Father for it, and pray about it to him, and thank him. Secondly, look over the day and see if what was the low point of the day. Maybe there was an act of uncharitableness of one kind or another, and so you ask Jesus to forgive our faults and failings, and talk to him about it in prayer. And finally, the third minute, look over the next day, maybe anticipating something that you have to do that may even be difficult, and you ask the Holy Spirit to help you through that the next day. If we got in the habit of doing that every night, we would be praying to the Trinity and including them in an examination of conscience as well as a prayer for assistance in all that we do. It sounds so simple, and yet it might be the best way to connect with the Holy Trinity. So today we thank God for the revelation of himself as Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, and we ask him to help us to imitate the Trinity. They have perfect love for one another, perfect love and perfect harmony, and we're called to imitate them in our lives as best we can.